Let's
There
kind
are.
of set the record straight and make that distinction between statistical information and myths. Let's begin with statistics. What more can you tell us about SIDS?
Well, sure. Well, let's start with what SIDS is. SIDS is an unexplained death of an infant, a child from newborn to a year of age. After they've ruled out all other causes, they're going to call it SIDS. So we find that most SIDS deaths occur in babies between 2 and 4 months of age. You might know that a lot of people have called this crib death in the past
Right,
because babies sleep in cribs,
right.
and many babies found dead were found dead in cribs. But cribs don't cause crib death. So if you hear someone referring to it as crib death, please know cribs don't cause the death. Before we started recommending safe sleep practices, we were having about 5,000 deaths, unexplained deaths of babies every year in the United States. And that's a tragic number.
Yes, indeed.
A tragic number. Not deaths that we could explain, deaths that we couldn't explain after everything else had been examined. We found that babies placed to sleep on their stomachs were more likely to be found dead in their cribs or dead in the bed. This was occurring without warning. We had no way of knowing which babies were at risk. For a long time, we didn't know what to tell parents. Now, there's a sad fact that the African American population is still about twice as much at risk to find their babies dead than white babies. And I'm interested in getting the news out to people so that they can tell other people, tell other parents when they're taking care of their own children or grandchildren, that people will know how to put their baby to sleep to give their baby the best chance of waking up and not being a victim of SIDS.
In the context of health disparities where African Americans tend to be disproportionately impacted by illnesses, frequently the sources of those illnesses can be traced back to a particular trigger point. But with SIDS, it's
I
still,
don't think we have an answer for that
yeah,
yet.
that's so sad.
It is sad.
Can you have some other facts that you could share with us about SIDS?
Sure. It seems that more SIDS happens in the colder months. And we wonder whether that's because parents are bundling their babies, putting them to sleep in unsafe situations simply because they're trying to keep their baby warm. SIDS is unpredictable, but we have found that with teaching safe sleep practices that we can reduce the number. In fact, we've been able to bring the number down about 2,000 a year across the United States. I think of 2,000 families
Yeah,
who aren't suffering with empty arms.
right.
Now, you might know that in the year that ended in June of 2015, 21 babies in our region, going over from here to Petersburg and around the Eastern District, 21 babies had unexplained infant deaths. And unfortunately, in our area, that was up from the year before, where we only had 15 unexplained deaths. So again, you can see it's important for us to get this information out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about the myths now. There are three prevailing myths about SIDS. What are they?
Well, the first is vaccines. A lot of people are quick to blame vaccines.
Yes.
When you think about babies and the SIDS occurrence happening mostly between 2 months and 4 months, many people think, well, babies get their shots at 2 months and 4 months and 6 months. Well, the fact is the babies start their immunizations at birth. And the fact is that we haven't found a correlation between babies having their immunizations and the SIDS occurrence. When they've looked at it with the science, they simply don't find that there's a correlation there. Another myth is that SIDS is something that can be caught, that is contagious, and that's not the case. And then thirdly, some people associate SIDS with, oh, that must have been a case of child abuse or neglect. Well, child abuse and neglect are certainly things that can kill children, but they're not sudden and they're not unexplained. SIDS is when we can't find any other explanation.
Understood. Understood. Again, very, very tragic. You make the clear distinction between a baby sleeping on its back versus a baby sleeping on the stomach. Why is sleeping on the back safer? What can you elaborate on that?
I sure can. And when you think back to it, Many people in our generation would have thought it was absolutely crazy to put a baby to sleep on their back. We used to think that babies were going to spit up. You know, we fed our babies, we put them in the crib. Oh, they're going to spit up, and while they're sleeping, they won't know what to do, and they'll choke to death.
Right.
We thought that that was logical. Well, what we found with science is that when you put the baby to sleep on their back, it's actually a better position. The airway's on the front. The tube that goes from the mouth to the stomach is actually behind it. So a baby lying on their back would just naturally swallow instead of choke on anything that would be spit up. Another thing that we found is that when babies were placed with their face down, that they had trouble with breathing and with the soft surface underneath them. When you think about babies on anything other than a firm surface, their face can get smushed into a blanket, a toy, the bumper pad, and it becomes very tiring for them to keep breathing. We think that that's one of the reasons why when we started teaching people to put their babies to bed on their backs, their nose in the air, that we found a reduction in the incidence of SIDS.
You know, the health department uses a safe sleep practices video that was developed by the Eastern Virginia Medical School. And we don't have the time to show that video in today's show, but we are going to put the link up on the screen. You don't even worry about giving us the link. We'll put it up on the screen.
Great.
But while that folks are jotting down that link, can you elaborate a bit on what that video does? Because I know it targets parents or legal guardians of people, of children who may well be at risk.
It does, and they go over all of the important points that you and I are going to discuss on what parents and caregivers can do to keep infants safe. They take it from the standpoint of what happens in a case of a sudden infant death. There's an investigation that needs to go on. They use two people that are modeling as the parents with a doll baby to show you that the positions that the child can be found in on the sudden infant death syndrome, you can see why this could be a risk. It's a very short video, it's 6 minutes long, but it's very, very insightful. I recommend that anyone who can check this link out and view this video. It's very intense. The death of a child is a tragic thing.
Yes.
And it'll help to reinforce all the points that we're going to bring out.
I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about the baby care program. But are there any additional tips that you can give parents very quickly?
Absolutely, absolutely. We want to talk about the ABCs. We want that child to be sleeping alone, on their back, in an approved crib. We want that child alone. Co-sleeping, even though you think it might be loving, can be very dangerous. Right. We want them on their back. We find that that's the safest position. And we want them in an approved sleeping surface where the child is protected and doesn't have a soft surface to roll into. We also want to remind people to keep all soft objects, toys, loose bedding out of the baby's sleep area. Definitely don't allow smoking around the child. Smoking is such a respiratory irritant, right?
Yes.
And this is the frailest member in your house.
Yes.
So no smoking around the baby, no smoking in the house, no smoking in the car. Think about using a pacifier when you put your baby to bed. There is some science that supports that that's a protective measure, as is breastfeeding your baby. So for people making that choice, it's a protective choice. Avoid products that claim to reduce SIDS. We don't have science on those yet. And always remember that we're only talking about while your baby's sleeping. We don't want the baby in the crib all day long. We want that baby up in your arms. We want that baby to have safe, supervised tummy time to play. We're only talking about the sleeping time.
And the baby care program, the Safe Sleep program is a part of the baby care. Can you just generally describe baby care?
Sure. Baby care started in 1993 as a Medicaid-funded program to help pregnant women and infants up to age 2 with the goal of helping them to be healthier. It's a program I'm very much excited about. I call it Norfolk's Best Kept Secret. Okay. Any women who want to find out about this can call up to the health department, but we're going to help with the kinds of things that women need: education, some help understanding what your doctor's telling you, maybe help getting your Medicaid or getting in to see your doctor.
So you're getting a bit into the services now. Continue.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the services that we
we
offer.
put the eligibility up on the screen. We'd like to get into the services, and some of those services you're already making a reference to.
Oh, yeah. And it's open to all of our Medicaid, Medicaid HMO, and uninsured parents. But yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to provide that help that's going to help that pregnant woman and that infant up to age 2 to be as healthy as possible.
Okay, well, we're about to run out of time. So if you could please give us some information, contact information for both Safe Sleep and the baby care program.
Sure. If you only have time to write down one number, you want it to be the 683-2777. Okay?
683-2777.
Right. We do have a second number for baby care, 355-5666. But that first number will also get you information on Safe Sleep and on baby care if you need to.
Safe Sleep and baby care.
That's right.
Okay, and the baby care program does make a lot of resources available to the community as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our registered nurses are right there alongside women throughout their pregnancy and can help up until the child is 2 years old.
Okay. Well, Susan, you're new to the health department, and we're so glad to have you on board. And I'm glad that you came and spent some time with us today to talk about this very important topic on Safe Sleep and the baby care program.
Thank you.
We need to have you come back on at some point in the future.
Thank you so much. It's been a joy.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We're going to ask you to stick around. That's the first part of our show today. And we're going to take a break now, and when we return, we're going to take a peek at another pretty dynamic program at the Norfolk Department of Public Health. It's the Integrated Pest Management Program. Stay tuned, and I'll see you on the other side of the break.
SIDS affects infants less than a year old, with ages up to 4 months being particularly vulnerable. If the baby is sleeping in the bed with someone else, it increases the risk for SIDS, or accidental suffocation. Now, they can sleep in the same room with someone else beside the bed, just not in the bed. Nothing else in the sleep area. Remove all play items and soft objects from the crib at sleep time, and that includes bumper pads. Place baby on a firm, safety-approved crib mattress. Avoid overdressing your baby or setting the thermostat too high. And when it comes to sleeping, always, always, always place baby on his or her back. And get some rest, because you're gonna need it.